Hi guys, I'm going to do my awkward introduction. I'm Crystal, the real Christina from the Crank Books. I'm telling my story and then I'm going to try to branch out, expand. I even have some ideas for some funny videos and stuff that we're kind of developing, and we're going to add into the mix to switch it up, make life interesting. But I want to take the next probably 2 days and finish telling the majority of my story, at least the broad overview version, and then my book will have all the intimate details of things that are really hard to speak about, or where I may have messed up the timeline, or I can actually sit and think about it and making some progress with that. So hopefully that turns out well. But when we left off, I just thrown Brian out, and I think that there's a few things that are kind of important to note, and I've gotten a lot of comments about how that sounds identical to relationships that they've been in and whatnot, and it's funny. I made the observation that when you're dealing with a narcissist, you kind of have a very similar experience every time, and it's a broad expanse of people that that affect others with this, but their experiences are very, very similar along the way. And then it does kind of reiterate to you that that is definitely what you're dealing with. You're not crazy. You're not mental for thinking that, because you see all these similarities that cross over in these relationships that are exactly the same. I mean, identical: the emotional abuse, the verbal abuse, and then the escalation into physical abuse. It's uncanny how similar these relationships are. The similarities, to right down to what they say to you to keep you under their thumb, is like goosebumpy, eerily similar. So I just think it's important to note that, because if you look over the stuff and you think about your own relationship, you'll be able to tell. And that's why I'm trying to give out these tools and the things that I've discovered it too, because it will help you to recognize it before maybe it escalates or wastes a big part of your life. And I have some kind of a sneaky suspicion that because I dealt with narcissism growing up, that maybe I was drawn to it subconsciously, and just was radiated towards what I was used to, what I was not necessarily comfortable with, but just used to dealing with. And I know that might be a terrible thing to say, but it's something to think about, and it's something that I have been thinking about. It's also important to note that I almost made the mistake again right after Brian was out. Someone who's been my friend for years, and I'm not going to say a name because, again, this is a person that I believe is inherently a good person, has been my friend for years and years and years and years. But as soon as we were talking about a possible relationship, I saw some things that, because I was very acutely aware of what I just got out of, set off some red flags. Considering, knowing I'm sober, and again, I will drink here and there, but I don't get drunk. I don't do anything that will make me wasted ever. And so I was talking to this guy one night, and he tells me, well, I lost my job, but that's okay, because I'm just going to come take over your house, and the rules are going to be my rules from now on. And I was like, that's not how I roll there, big guy. And then he says, well, I'm out driving drunk, and I'm out of booze, and I have no money. Can you just Facebook pay me enough money for booze and cigarettes? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not sending you money to pay for habits that I've already managed to get past. Like, I'll be goddamned. And I don't care if that's terrible to say, but that's just the bottom line. And then red flags started going off. Like, what am I doing? Why am I even talking to this guy who does not know the first thing about being in a successful relationship? I'm going to be right back in the same trap that I just got out of, because you care about someone and you don't want to hurt him and you think it's your fault. And then you hold on to a miserable, for years. And I was like, nope, nope, nope. And I told him, you know what, I'm changing my mind. I'm sorry. I care about you, but I can't do this. I cannot be with another child. I just can't. I have to be with someone that matches me intellectually and emotionally and can be on the same level with me. And that's something that, again, I thank God for the fact that my eyes were 100% open at this point in time. You know, Brian went out there and he had, my cousin has the biggest heart ever, especially since her sister, my other cousin, died. She is a very, very caring person, and Brian had that outside group of people completely fooled because I helped to enable him. I covered for him. I put cover up on my bruises. I blamed my fat lips on my son headbutting me when he was playing. I blamed arm bruises because I fell, or, you know, over and over and over again. I protected him so that people wouldn't think he was a monster, mostly because I didn't want people to think I was stupid for staying with a monster. So it's not anybody else's fault that I worked really hard to convince them, when I spent my whole life, you know, convincing people what I needed to get by and get what I needed out of them. And so it's my own fault. But my cousin was on the fence trying to figure out if she was trying her best not to take sides. So she was still kind to me, but she was helping him out. And he's telling her that I'm a terrible abuser and that he can't believe I would ever beat him up and then tell the cops it was him. He's saying that Megan had a lot to do with it because she helped cry to the cops and make him look guilty. He said all kinds of things that made me look like a monster. And, you know, thank God he showed his true colors to her before long. And she called me up and she was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that I ever believed him. And she didn't owe me any apologies because she did not treat me in a bad way, but she still felt like she owed me apologies for being too good to him. I mean, I sent him out there with $300, and again, thanks to help from Megan, and he told her that I left him with nothing. Okay, so apparently we're still going to have one or two issues today. I've tried elevating the computer off the desk because it seems like when the fan comes on, the camera freezes. So I will figure this out, put a big fan behind it or something, and get this all straightened out. Until then, piece them together. Anyways, what I was trying to say is he said that, you know, I left him destitute and with nothing, but he had money in his wallet. And my Aunt Karen was nice enough to talk to a friend of hers, put her ass on the line and her reputation on the line, and vouch for him and get him a place to stay with. This sweet lady was nice enough to take him in, and he didn't give her a dime. Didn't give her a dime. Now that's saying he cried and cried and cried because he was so innocent. He cried like a little bitch for days and used all her paper towels and toilet paper. I mean, I'm talking about like probably quadruple the supply she used on her own. He ate her food, had her buying him rock stars to wake him up, everything. And he'd put not a dime towards it, said he was destitute, and I left him with nothing. And that's what he deserved. I should have left him with nothing, but I didn't want. Apparently this is destined to be a bit of a frustrating type of a day. Anyways, he deserved for me to leave him destitute. He deserved it, but I didn't because I didn't want to put that kind of stress and burden on my family. I wasn't trying to get rid of my burden just to give him to someone else. He burned each bridge as he went. He went and got himself a job, which he could have done the whole time. And of course, he knows how to suck it up and keep his big mouth shut to keep a job, you know, when he doesn't have to keep a job, or when he has to keep a job. He only runs his big old mouth when he's got me paying all the bills on the other side, and does whatever he wants, because he demands respect when he's got me covering his ass. So he went and got himself a job at a mechanic shop. And guess what got him the job? I left him that $10,000 worth of tools that I paid for him over the years. And so those tools are what got him that job. And of course, he still thought I owed him something after that. And he went to another friend's house and basically trashed her fifth wheel that she let him live in. He was supposed to pay her rent, gave her not a dime. And she's such a kind person. I'm sure she's probably still nice to him, even if she doesn't barely talk to him. And then he kind of did the mother of all stabs in the back to my cousin. She tried to speak to him about ending our union, and he flat out told her no. He refused to do it because he wanted my car, and he thought I owed him my car that I paid for, that he paid not a dime for. I worked and paid for it. I paid the whole thing off. I even paid the engine blew, and so I had just got through dealing with a broken down engine and getting a new engine replaced. It was still under warranty, so I wasn't giving up the car. Like in any divorce, a judge will reward the car to the person with the child anyway, so it wouldn't have flown no matter what, even if he'd paid for it, which he did not. But he thought because his name was also on the car that he was entitled to everything that his name was also on, that I had to give it all to him because he owned it. And he would tell me that all the time. If you leave in my car, I'll report it stolen. But he's too stupid to understand that my name was on it, and my name was the only insured name on it. And no cop is going to arrest me for driving my own car. So, yeah, he was an idiot. A gigantic, stupid idiot. Anyways, I ended up having to file divorce under duress and bring in the paperwork for the abuse charges and all that just to get my divorce, because he refused to do it. So yeah, there's that. So I'm not even sure he knows he is divorced at this point, but that's okay. I hope he doesn't. I hope he goes on thinking he has power over me, only to discover when he pulls his head out of his ass that he doesn't. That would be great. So that being said, this man basically threatened my cousin, told her he was going to come and take things from her house if she didn't give him the paperwork, even though he said he was entitled to it. He owned it because his name was on it. I was like, he said it's illegal to have paperwork with his name on it. He's so stupid. He's like, oh, so if I write your name on a piece of paper, then I'm committing a crime, you dumbass. Anyways, this is the biggest freaking self-loving, self-loathing, moronic idiot on the freaking planet. I am not kidding you with this. And I know some of you guys have met him. Some of you guys have seen his good side, but some of you have been in the house long enough to see his facade crumble and see who he really is. Koa came and stayed with us for about a month before him and my best friend Millie were able to move in together, and he sat there, kind of tolerating. Sorry, my phone is ringing and I don't know who it is. I'm really sorry about that. That was not even a glitch. It was a number that looked like the school calling, but apparently it was the National Guard using one of the official, last four numbers of the school, calling from their office to see if my teenager wants to be in the National Guard. So that's interesting. But anyways, this idiot showed his true colors, and I'm really glad that my cousin was able to see that, because again, she's always believed in the best in people, and I didn't want him to use her or prey on her later, because she's a kind person. Every time she has anything extra, she's always willing to give it and share it, and she's bailed me out a few times. In fact, once a friend borrowed some money from me, and friend borrowed some money from me and didn't pay it back. And again, I'm not mentioning names because that's not what I'm about on here, but the point is, it didn't pay me back, and it was my rent money, and I did it out of an emergency situation, and I was terrified to tell Brian because I knew what kind of fight it would be, and how scary it would be. And she actually covered my ass and didn't say anything to him, and she could never understand why I was scared to say anything to him. But now she, okay, that one was a glitch. Anyways, she could never understand why I was scared to say anything to him, and now she gets it. She because he was always just so kind and so sweet on the surface, and such just a great and sweet and wonderful guy. And of course, that's what I wanted everybody to think, because I didn't want everyone to think I was an idiot, complete and total moron. The bottom line here is that you get angrier and angrier and angry about stuff after it's done. So I think I'm venting a little bit today, but I think that a lot of you, especially with some of the messages I've gotten, are going to relate to this stuff pretty closely. So I'm just glad that he wasn't able to, harm many more of our friends or family members, and most people have brushed him off and ridden him off, and I really hope he doesn't have a support system anymore, because he doesn't deserve it. He deserves for everyone to turn around and just completely turn their backs on him and shun him, because that's just what he deserves. He's not even worth the time and effort as a person. I've never met a more disgusting human being, and I say this having 2 other disgusting exes that gradually got worse, and at least the first one got sober and got his shit together and became a good father and a good person. And the other one, I mean, he's getting mental help, so I guess he's a little bit better, marginally better. This guy refuses to get mental help. In fact, his go-to when he obsesses on something, and he doesn't understand that he's literally tagging himself, because he says, I can't just forget about this. I'm not bipolar. He doesn't know what bipolar means. He has no idea. He tries to use it like he's not bipolar, but I think that's actually exactly what he is. And he's too stupid to get it. Normal people do not obsess on subjects for hours, months, weeks, years, whatever it takes. Like, he used to start fights with me, and then bring up when we were split up 6 years ago and 7 years ago, like we were just arguing about it. Just literally, like, from one sentence, I think you're a bitch because you just did this, and by the way, you're a whore because you did this and this. And I'm like, are you talking about when we were not together 7 years ago? Again? Well, you've never talked about it. No, actually I have. We have talked about it in complete and total detail. You've obsessed on it for hours and hours and hours, and I am done with it. But he would still bring it up. He wanted to fight about it, and it became very clear, very apparent to me that he was never going to not want to fight about it. He still wanted me to stick around, but he wanted me to just sit and take it and let him be right all the time, and I couldn't do it anymore. And that's what's going to come down to for everyone dealing with abuse, is you're not going to be able to deal with it anymore. You're going to be done, and you're finally going to get the power to walk, hopefully before they do too much damage. So anyways, my eyes are open about getting a new relationship, and I'm still thankful for that, because I'd be miserable again and not wanting to hurt somebody that I have always cared about as a friend. And then Cash texted me, and he said, hey, I'm going to be in Vegas in a couple of weeks on business. Do you want to have coffee? And I said, yes, I do want to have coffee. And that's where I'm going to leave off for today. And sorry about the glitching and the weird phone call, but I will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, like and subscribe. And please private message me or put in the comments about ideas for expanding other things that you want me to talk about. Or if you want to tell your story, I would really be interested in getting a few other people's stories out here as well, giving you a chance to talk. Let's see what we can do, okay? All right. Thanks, guys. I will see you tomorrow.